Let's take a closer look at General Grievous Starfighter from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be taking a closer look at and unboxing General Grievous Starfighter from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line of Star Wars vehicles by Jazware. Very excited to be able to add this one to my collection. As you can see from the sticker here, this one is a rare from the line. The silver foil sticker notes that this is one of 15,000. I was really hoping to be able to find this one locally, but again, it can be very hit and miss trying to find these rare stickered vehicles. Thankfully, we found one during our hunt around our local toy stores. Very, very exciting. I especially want to add the ones that are unique vehicles. There are some X-Wing variants in the line that are, rares and sort of different variants with the figures. But if it is a completely unique vehicle, I definitely want to add it to my collection. So very happy to be able to find this one in the wild. We didn't have to go to the secondary market to be able to find this one. So very, very exciting. This is, of course, General Grievous Starfighter from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And we can see it comes with a singular figure of General Grievous himself. He doesn't really have a co-pilot or anything for this vehicle, so that makes sense there. So very, very exciting. Of course, this is from Series 3, as you can see from the green mark over there. So I'm just going to take a closer look at the packaging details before we get stuck in and open it up. We have the silver foil stripe down the bottom. This one is 0064 numbered here on the corner. You can see the title, General Grievous's Starfighter. We have a little insert here showing that the General Grievous figure can fit inside the cockpit. We have that rare sticker there on the front. Large plastic bubble here so we can see the vehicle from most sides. Lots of air there in behind. On the back of the backing card, we can see we have sort of this hollow image of the Starfighter with a couple of moving features. Looks like we have some pop-up turrets here. A little fin at the back that moves down. And we have a landing gear. Here we have this collectible blueprint that you can cut out if you don't keep your packaging. You can remove this and sort of have a bit of a trading card addition to your collectible. And here we can see some of the other vehicles from this line. We have Poe Dameron's X-Wing. We have an Anakin Skywalker Starfighter, a V-Wing, and here we have a variant of Poe's X-Wing, as we see at the start of Force Awakens before he finally gets his darker colored one there. So that's what I was talking about in terms of color variants. It's less important to me to be able to pick up all the color variants. Very important to be able to get these unique vehicles. So very, very excited that we were able to add this one to our collection. Pretty plain packaging there on the bottom. So that is it for the packaging. Let's get stuck in and take a closer look at the vehicle inside. So I have carefully removed the bubble from the backing card along the sides and the top so I can take the vehicle out. So I'm just going to remove this bubble out so we can take a closer look at that fabulous vehicle inside. Take a closer look at the backing card before I pop it off to the side. A little bit of a plain one here. We have two Episode 3 Jedi Starfighters in amongst an asteroid. Not really a scene that particularly matches the Grievous Starfighter, but at least it does match movie-wise because these are the Episode 3 versions of the Jedi Starfighters. But yeah, a little bit plain, a little bit confusing there, but it's not really important. Of course, it's the vehicle inside that's the major component here. So let's take a closer look now that we've got it out of the bubble. I'm going to take the little figure capsule out. Very handy way to keep a hold of your figures so they don't get lost. So next up, this is always the interesting part, seeing how easily this is going to come out of the plastic bubble. Okay, that was a nice easy one. It just popped right out, no wrestling there. And of course, this is not one of the larger ones, no assembly, no extra bits that you got to snap onto place. So I'm going to just take a bit of an overall look at all of the details. First thing, I can see that there is a very subtle wash that perhaps wasn't quite as evident inside the plastic bubble. So the whole thing just sort of has a layer of kind of like when you find old toys in the attic or something. It's just kind of got like a little bit of a grime wash to it. It doesn't quite sort of pick up as well as, say, on an X-Wing when you've got that pale grey undertone, but you can kind of see it in certain areas where just it's kind of picking up against that dark blue yeah, it is blue, isn't it? It's not a dark grey here. And then we've got this interesting two-tone green pattern along certain panels of the ship and down the sides. Not a complicated paint job. I dare say this is made out of a blue plastic with some paint apps on here, but nonetheless a very iconic and very recognizable ship. Grievous's ship is not really too similar to anything else in Star Wars, so I do like that. It is a very unique ship for this line. Very happy to have it. So yeah, the paintwork looks tidy. Like I said, it's the wash is a little bit minimal. Doesn't sort of stand out, but then again, it's not their fault that this is a dark blue ship. They've got to follow the source material. Paintwork under here is perhaps just a little bit messier on the underside, but not too. It's not really going to be visible because that's here. And it's right next to a screw, so it's kind of right on the underside anyway. We've got that two-tone green pattern on the underside here. We also have some dark metallic grey silver details on the underside as well. Of course, across the whole Micro Galaxy Squadron line, we have this really fun attention to detail even on the underside. I like the fact that they even sort of include all of the paintwork details and the wash in all those little places that don't really get seen once you put it on a shelf for display. I think that one of the best places you can see the wash is here. It's still really subtle on camera, but I think it just sort of gives it a little bit of a worn look. But it's up to individual collectors whether they like a cleaner or sort of a heavier wash. Like I said, I only found one of these on the shelf, so I can't say if the wash on this particular vehicle is typical of the line or whether this is a little bit more minimal or a little bit heavier than typical. Let me know in the comments down below if you have managed to find this one and what you think of the wash on your vehicle. So I'm going to take a look at some of the moving parts. So I'm interested. Okay, these were already out when I got them out of the box, the landing gear, and it kind of looks like they would move, but I'm a little bit, this one kind of clicks a little bit, and I don't really know if I want to press those in, to be honest. They kind of move very slightly. I'm going to have a look at, okay, this is very stiff. You might be able to hear that. Okay, that pops that up. Okay, so it's one of those sort of flight mode ones. It's kind of, I don't even know. Okay, it's not really supposed to, if it goes up any higher, you can see it's, if I put it on camera, it's kind of splitting that plastic apart if I put that up. So I kind of don't really want to do that. I thought it was supposed to sort of click up. It's not really, because it kind of goes lower than the landing gear here. But if I click this up, you can see it's starting to move the plastic, splitting there. It's like widening the gap, which is an odd thing. I thought it was kind of supposed to, you can see it's like opened up the plastic. So if the camera can focus on it, it's opened that plastic up. If I push it all the way back down, and now it's probably not going to want to, it feels like it's like, I don't know if I can get that back out, to be honest. Yeah, okay. It's a neat match when it's all the way out. So I don't know quite what to make of that. Usually with the moving components on these vehicles, they are very well done. This doesn't feel well done. It's pushing it open, which is awkward. But I can't, if I put that on the desk, it's going to sit on that fin, not on the landing gear. So, but if I put it all the way up, it's going to create that split. it's open here, but now it sits on the desk on its landing gear, so I'm not quite sure what to make of that. It's a really minimal thing, but I can't press that close. I can't press it down. That's really interesting. Okay, so we've got the cockpit, which kind of popped open when I pushed that back. No paint job that I can see on the interior of the cockpit. I don't see any, say, grey details or anything like that. Good moulding in here, but no additional paintwork. We've got some controls, seat details. Looks pretty cool in there. It'll be interesting to see how well the figure's going to fit in there. And we can see the cockpit cover is clear with some dark blue painted details, so we'll be able to see the figure inside. We can see all the way through there, so that's going to be fun, putting a figure in there. And that just kind of doesn't snap back down, but that should be easy, just to get a finger under that little lip there and pop that open. Nice there. So there is something to, I don't know if these just lift up. These look like they pop up, and I'll have a bit of a play around and see if I can, do they just, is it these? Will these pop it up? Why can't I push these in? I don't know how these are supposed to move. I might just take a minute and see if I can figure out how to move these, because I'm wary of breaking them, but it feels like they're supposed to move and snap back in, because generally these vehicles have a flight mode and a landing mode. So I'm just going to take a minute to see if I can figure out this landing gear. Okay, so I took a moment and I've figured out how these landing gear go back in. There's a screw here and they kind of rotate. It was a little bit counterintuitive. It kind of felt like they perhaps wanted to just sit straight back down, but it is more of a rotating movement. So they fit in like that. And I'll do the same on the other side. Hopefully you can see they're quite stiff, I have to say. And then they kind of tuck in like that. And you can just sort of see that little bit there. And then they're quite stiff to get back out. I'll do it on this side. See if I can, and you can just get them back out again. So very stiff. I'm going to pop them away actually. So I don't have to keep doing that over and over. Very stiff, but that's how that works. So you can see there, we've just got this little tiny peg left visible if you have it in sort of a flight mode. Now the other moving component is these. There doesn't seem to be any kind of push button or anything like that. The way that I managed to get them out is literally just hooking them with my fingers and pulling them out. And they just sort of fit straight up. And we can see we've got the sort of turrets there. Not a huge sort of play feature, a little bit awkward. Again, on my particular vehicle, these are very stiff. And I don't want to break them. If I can get them, you got to sort of wiggle them out there. So minimal, depends on if you like them up or down. This one's got a little bit of weathering on the tips there that this one doesn't have. So yeah, personal preference, whether you want them up or down. A little bit fiddly to get those in and out, but I think they do kind of look cool when you get them out. Gives a little bit more something. So that is the vehicle. Some wins and some losses there with the moving components. I wish these landing gear weren't nearly as tight. I feel like I'm going to break a fingernail trying to get those in and out. And disappointing that this just doesn't seem to fit in there very well. It wants to split those two components apart. And those were a little bit clunky to get out. So very interesting features there. Now let's take a closer look at the figure of General Grievous himself. So he's got some interesting paintwork here, and he does come with his cape, which is interesting because I'm hoping the cape is going to be not too hard to remove, because on the picture on the packaging it shows him being inserted into the cockpit without his cape on, because it does stop them from sitting down. So let's take a closer look at the details of this figure. I like these little capsules, very useful for storing your figures so you don't lose them. very, very tiny little figure here. So he's kind of a dark brown to my eyes. Under this light, he looks dark brown with this kind of cream white paintwork. It's not the tidiest, but there is a lot of detail here to paint, and he is very small. The cape gives him a little bit of a sort of a hunched pose, shall we say, because it is up around his neck. He doesn't really have much of a neck in this sculpt because of the plastic of the cape there. But overall, it's about what you'd expect from a figure of this size. So, okay, so the cape does just sit around his neck with a little closure like that that's just open, fairly sort of rubbery, so you can easily take that off. It's not going to snap. And they have actually got sort of that reddish brown interior, which is accurate. And we can see the paintwork on the back of the figure here as well. Again, you know, I guess somebody with a very, very keen eye could tidy that up, but it's not too bad for a figure of this scale. All the detail is there. So, like the other figures, he has articulation at the shoulders and at the hips, so we can put him in a, he does feel a little bit bendy though. I'm curious to see his hips. His hips want to kind of spring back into a standing shape. If I put them like that, they just kind of want to sit down. So that's going to be interesting. I can't sort of, yeah, they don't, he just wants to stand up. Okay, that's going to be very interesting. Now it's up to putting him in the cockpit. Let's see how easily this is going to go. He's got fairly big feet compared to a lot of other characters, so I'm hoping. Okay, I can kind of feel that he wants to spring back out, so I'm going to hold him in there. He fits in there fairly well, but if I kind of, his hands actually look fairly good with the controls. And if we, is he just a little bit big, is he? Am I not got him quite in the way? He kind of, he's very close to the top of the cockpit. I don't know if I can sit him back down any further. I can't get the cockpit to actually sort of click shut, but it looks fairly well closed. And because of his white paint, that pale grey paint, we can see the figure inside the cockpit fairly well in there, which is good if you like to display the vehicles with the figures inside. I think that looks pretty cool. You can see him in there. I kind of wanted to feel a click, but it does feel like that is closed quite well. So there we have General Grievous and his Starfighter there. So some interesting points, and we've got his cape there. Might just put that in that little capsule there, a good spot to put tiny accessories. Yeah, definitely was very, very keen to add this to my collection because it is a unique design of ship from the prequels. I like that Jazware is doing a good variety of ships. We've got all the different sort of eras and even some from the animated series in their line. I like that. And of course this one doesn't really look like anything else, so I wanted to have it in my collection. But a few things, I really wish that landing gear was a little easier to get out. I'm going to see if I can pull them out one final time. Got that one out, and got that one out. They'll probably loosen up if I do that over and over a few times, but I do wish that was just a little bit easier to do. And I don't even really want to move this too much because I'm worried about creaking something or putting too much stress and tension on the plastic there. And it doesn't, it sort of interferes. This landing gear doesn't move. It's solidly sculpted. It doesn't disappear anywhere. So even if you've got it in flight mode, that is still going to be there, which is a little bit of a shame. Perhaps it could have folded away in there somewhere, but I do prefer to have mine displayed on a shelf unless they make a whole lot of stands to put them in flight mode. That is how mine are going to be for the next little while. I do think it looks pretty cool if I don't look at that bit of plastic there. Overall, I am happy that I have it in my collection, especially since it was a rare. I wasn't even sure I would find this one locally, so being able to get it for standard retail price is always a win. I just wish there was just a few little things, just that this makes me anxious. I don't like feeling like I'm going to break a collectible using it in its intended way. There are some collectibles out there where they are just so very, very prone to breaking with a feature that was sort of put in there by the designers. Some of the versions of, say, Darth Malgus with the removable jaw, some of those I feel like they're very easy to break. And this one I feel like I'm not really going to move that because of that. I know I'm going on. Overall, I think it is a cool ship. Glad I found the rare. I don't know if this is just my ship or if this is going to be a design quirk. We're going to see with others. Let me know in the comments down below if you have noticed this on your General Grievous Starfighter. And let me know what you think about the sculpt and the paint in general. Overall, I think it looks really cool. I think the Hasbro version of this is slightly more grey than blue. It does read very blue to my eyes in person. It might show up possibly a little bit more dark grey on camera, but it does have a dark blue tone to it here. And I don't know which I would prefer it to look. I don't mind the dark blue. Personally, I thought it was dark grey. But yes, and pretty good paint job overall. So there you have it. I'll have some pictures up to show some of those very tiny details like the figure so that you can see the fine detail that is hard to show in movement here. Overall, I like it. Some quirks, but at least I didn't have to pay a lot more for it, say on the secondary market. For those of you that don't find it locally, let me know if you think this one is worth tracking down at a reseller price. Yeah, overall, I'm happy, but I don't know if I would have paid a lot of money for it. I probably would have because I wouldn't have known about these until I got them out of the box. So there you have it. Another addition, fine or not, let me know, to our Micro Galaxies Squadron collection. So thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next video, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.